I just was waiting for 4 o'clock because that's when they put the stream live. It does appear to be 4 o'clock. So we are good to go ahead and get started.
Okay, welcome to the January 5th, 2021 Plan Commission meeting. For those of you who haven't been here before, just need a refresher. As the meeting goes on, I will introduce the item. City staff will then present the item to us. Then we will come back to the Plan Commission, who will have a discussion and ask technical questions. Then we will go to the public and have public input. Once we finish with the public input, we bring it back to the Plan Commission for further discussion and a motion to vote on it. And with that said, please call the roll.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Here.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Here. Sorry, my mic was muted. Here. Can you hear me?
Just barely, but we got you.
All right.
Ms. Davey?
Here.
Councilmember Ford?
Here.
Mr. Grove? Mr. Kiefer?
Here.
Mr. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Stengel?
Here.
Mr. Marshall?
Here.
Ms. Prop? Ms. Prop? Gotta unmute yourself, Kathy.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Here.
And Mr. Hint.
Present.
So we have 10 present. So Mr. Marshall, as alternate 2, would not be voting today.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And before we get started, I would like to also make an announcement that number 2 on our agenda, the public hearing zone change for 1495 South Park Avenue, has been pulled from today's agenda. So number 3 will move up to the number 2 slot. With that said, let's go to agenda item number 1. Privilege in the street request to allow placement of a gate and fence within the Bradley Street right-of-way at 191 West 28th Avenue, Hydrate Chemical.
What? Minutes first, John.
Sorry about that. We need approval of the minutes from December 15th.
I move motion to approve. Second.
Just for, couldn't quite catch who that made the motion.
John Kiefer.
John Kiefer, was that you, Mr. Ford, with the second?
Yep.
Thank you.
Now,
And you can just do that by voice vote. Still there, John? We may have lost John. Kathy, can you call for that vote if you don't mind while we wait for John to come back? His computer.
Sure. All in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Thank you. So then we can move on to item 1. Site visits. If you could raise your hand. Looks like no site visits. We could do the accepting of the staff report as part of the official record, please, Kathy. Kathy, could you accept the staff?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Sure. The chair will accept the staff report as part of the record. Now staff can go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can everybody hear me?
I can, and sorry about that. For some reason, the program crashed.
All right, we got John back.
Okay. Hybrid Chemicals requesting a privilege in the Bradley Street right-of-way to allow construction of an 8-foot tall chain link gate and fence with barbed wire, which will run over a portion of Merritt's Creek. The proposed gate and fencing is part of the new rail yard development, which received SIP approval in mid-2020. The subject site consists of a 19-acre parcel with frontages on West 28th Avenue, Bradley Street, and West Waukau Avenue. The property is occupied by Hybrid Chemical and includes industrial buildings, storage buildings, and paved parking storage, outdoor storage areas, as well as a railroad connection. The general area consists of mostly commercial and industrial uses with some vacant parcels. Okay, this up on the screen is the specific location of the proposed privilege request. The new rail yard requires a secure perimeter per the Department of Homeland Security guidelines. And the east boundary along Bradley Street includes a crossing of Merritt's Creek, which is, let's see, well, it's obvious it's a stream that goes underneath Bradley Street. So with the existing culverts which go underneath Bradley Street, there isn't enough room on private property to install the perimeter fencing, and the applicant's requesting to install the fencing where that blue line is shown, which encroaches into the Bradley Street right-of-way. The applicant does state that this is a temporary situation. In 2022, it is planned that the Department of Public Works will be reconstructing Bradley Street, and at that time, the fencing will be properly addressed, so the fencing will be located entirely on Hybrid's property. The proposed location of the fence will extend about 7 feet beyond the western edge of the existing roadway, again, approximately where the blue line is shown. The Department of Public Works has reviewed this request and has provided comments for the request and have been included with the conditions, which I will briefly go over. Since this privilege request is meant to be temporary and that it's a requirement of Homeland Security, staff is supportive of this request and is recommending approval of the privilege in this right-of-way with conditions. This is the site plan provided by the applicant, and another site plan there. And this is a proposed layout of the proposed fencing. The fencing will have a gate mechanism to allow city access to the culvert. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the privilege request. As you're familiar, or as you've seen these before, the privilege request typically have several conditions associated with them. I'm not going to go through each one, but there are 12 in total. And the city attorney's office, the Department of Public Works, and the applicant will work together to prepare the final agreement documents.
Okay, thank you. And we'll now come to the commission. Anybody have any technical questions?
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, seeing none, then we'll go to public. Anyone here from the public like to speak to this item?
Again, I do not see any hands raised as people wanting to speak.
Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the commission for a motion and any other discussion. Anyone from the planning commission ready to make a motion?
Mr. Ford.
I'll make a motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
And a second.
This is Margie, I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, with a motion and a second, is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Ms. Crop,
Aye.
Mr. Coulibaly,
Aye.
Ms. Davy,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Kiefer,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Mr. Stengel,
Aye.
Mr. Hintz.
Aye.
Motion passes 9-0. Just quickly, item 2 was withdrawn by the petitioner. And that is the item on South Park Avenue for anyone in the public that may be here.
Okay, so we're moving to item 3 now. Public hearing, zone change from single family residential 5 district, SR5, to single family residential 5 district with a planned development overlay as SR5 PD, and approval of a general development plan and specific implementation plan for a pocket neighborhood at the southeast corner of Linden Oaks Drive and West 9th Avenue. There are any site inspections? If you inspected, please raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing Mr. Ford. Anybody else? Okay, and we accept the staff report as part of the record.
All right, so this item includes a rezone to a planned development overlay, as well as request for general development plan and specific implementation plan approval. So the subject site is located at the corner of West 9th Avenue and Linden Oaks Drive. It's a vacant parcel, about 10.5 acres in size. The surrounding land uses are predominantly single-family uses, along with a church to the north. The 2040 comprehensive land use plan recommends low-density residential for the site. It is currently zoned SR5. Here's a view of the subject site. So the applicant is requesting to develop a 40-home pocket neighborhood. It will function similar to a residential subdivision. However, the development will fall under the purview of a multifamily development, as all homes will be located within a single lot. All homes will be single-family ranch-style residences for older adults. There'll also be a clubhouse on the north side of the site. So as the SR5 district does not allow for multifamily uses, the applicant is requesting to rezone the site to have a planned development overlay, and then requesting a BSM to allow the multifamily use. So the proposed pocket neighborhood will have a density of 3.79 units per acre, which is in line with the SR5 district provision of 5 units per acre. It's also consistent with the 2040 comprehensive land use plan recommendation of low density residential. So staff does feel that this is an appropriate use for the site. So we're in support of a BSM to allow the multifamily use. The applicant did hold a virtual neighborhood meeting on December 1st, and the neighbors were generally supportive of the proposed land use. So staff is supportive of adding the planned development overlay, as the intent is to accommodate a unique land use. As far as site design, you'll have 2 accesses, one from West 9th Avenue and one from Linden Oaks Drive. Each home will have a 2-car attached garage for parking. The applicant is requesting a base standard modification to allow 8-foot separation between principal structures, where code requires a 10-foot separation. That's for some of the homes along the south side of the property. Staff is supportive of this BSM, provided these structures meet fire rating standards per approval from inspection services. There's also a clubhouse on the site, along with a 2,400 square foot patio. And this will meet the recreation area requirement for multifamily uses. Here is the landscape plan. The applicant is requesting a BSM to allow reduction of required building foundation points. and they're requesting this as their single-family residences. Typically, single-family residences would be exempt from the building foundation landscaping requirement, so staff is supportive of that BSM. And to offset that, they have exceeded the overall point requirement for the site. In your staff report, it notes that they need to add medium street frontage trees or medium height street frontage trees. They have since submitted a revised landscape plan showing those medium street frontage trees to meet that landscaping requirement. To meet the yard landscaping requirement, they are showing that they have 30 existing tall trees which will remain on the site, and those are worth double points if they're existing mature trees. So the applicant will need to provide a final number and species of the existing mature trees to verify that that point total is adequate to meet the yard landscaping requirement. They are proposing a monument sign along the 9th Avenue street frontage. It will meet the 25-foot front setback requirements. They did not include many sign renderings, but that can be addressed under a separate building permit. Here is the lighting plan. It meets the 0.4-foot candle minimum requirement for all parking and circulation areas. It also is within the maximum of 0.5-foot candle light trespass at all property lines, with the exception of the 9th Avenue entrance, which exceeds it, and it's right about at the maximum at the Linden Oaks entrance. The applicant is requesting to exceed that maximum at the entrances to ensure visibility. Staff is supportive of that BSM as it should not negatively impact the neighboring properties. Here are the renderings of the residences. So considering these are single-family residences, staff would be applying the single-family residential standards, and these homes do meet the material requirements for single-family residences and also the 25% door and window area front facade requirement for residential structures. So these residential style appearances of the facades should be compatible with the surrounding single-family residential land uses. And overall, staff is comfortable that the applicant has adequately offset the requested BSMs, and the overall site is complementary to the surrounding area. So staff recommends approval of the rezone, GDP, and SIP with the findings and conditions listed in your staff report.
Okay, thank you. Bring it to the Plan Commission for technical questions.
I see 2 ponds in the area. Are there retention pond for flooding purposes or just for?
Yeah, those are part of the required drainage plan. They are still finalizing drainage plans with our folks from Public Works.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, those will be part of the stormwater management plan. We have not, I believe, approved final stormwater management plans. They are still working through that process with Public Works.
Okay. Yeah, I was just concerned about the amount of pavement in the area and flooding issues. Okay. And is there a playground or a park nearby?
There is some dedicated parkland just northwest of here as part of a single-family residential development. This specific pocket neighborhood is for Evergreen Manor, which is a retirement community.
Okay.
Which would typically generate less of the demand for use. But there is, like I said, just northwest of here, 9th Avenue, but Pickard Avenue Estates does have dedicated parkland as part of that.
Okay.
Okay, I see Miss Davies' hand up.
Yes, I was wondering about the parking spaces. Are there 4 parking spaces for each housing unit?
Yes, we would consider they have 4. They do have each have a 2-stall attached garage and significant or efficient length and width for 2 open stalls in front of the garages. Yeah,
for single family style development, the code does permit stacked parking spaces behind the garage, so they would actually have 4 for each unit.
Okay, I was trying to figure out how we came up with 181. The rest are in front of the clubhouse and in front of the garage, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other technical questions? Justin?
Thanks, Justin here. Just a quick question. This is a 5-acre plot of active farm land. Has anything been developed with the city related to tracking of farmland loss? That's part one. And then part two is, I know that the sustainability plan that the city has adopted includes encouragement for farmland preservation. I think this development certainly makes sense, but is there any sort of reach out or commentary that is provided to the sustainability committee related to projects that end up reducing our farmland?
So the Sustainability Advisory Board has just recently, I think last night, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong here, please, put out their 2021 goals for the Sustainability Advisory Board, which we are going to be bringing to you in the first February meeting to kind of go through those with the Plan Commission.
Okay, do we have any other technical questions?
Are we still not tracking the loss of land space, or really, I mean, is there anything on your side, Mark, or from your office that you're doing at all related to farmland preservation, or just the loss of farm space?
Yeah, so starting with the 2021 cycle, we will be tracking the acreage of projects.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other technical questions on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody from the public here who would like to speak to this item? Okay, ask again if there's anybody from the public that would like to speak to this item.
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, seeing no one here from the public to speak on this, bring it back to the commission for motion.
I move to adopt the finding and recommendation as stated by staff.
Second, Justin here.
Okay, we have any further discussion on the motion?
Look at Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you. I was just hoping that somebody from the group proposing this could maybe talk a little bit about the facilities themselves, the homes, the features, the accessibility accommodations and whatnot. Is there nobody here?
This is Ken. I'm here from Evergreen.
Great. Could you talk just a little bit about the homes and the accommodations that they will be providing in terms of, we like to look at accessibility features that I guess make the homes.
Yep. Okay, so with the homes similar to our campus here at 1130 North Westfield, the homes are a zero entry when folks are coming in. That way we're not having to deal with steps, which is typically the most accessible item that we're looking at. Once in the homes, we really do look at, for especially older adults, when they're moving within the home, how do we make it as functional as possible with steps from the bedroom, for example, going to the bathroom. We are giving individuals, even though these are rentals, that they'll have the opportunity to look at some customizing, which we've done on this campus. The The walkways, those are ones where we'll be looking at making them close so that neighbors have an opportunity to interact with each other. But we do look closely at, the most common issues of trip hazards with the windows, making sure we use as much natural light as possible. And then the same within the homes.
So these are 2 stories.
Nope, they're single story ranches.
Got it. Great, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Ms. Prop,
Present.
Mr. Mr. Coulibaly,
Aye.
Ms. Davy,
Aye.
Mr. Ford, Mr. Kiefer,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Mr. Stengel,
Aye.
Mr. Hintz.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, with that, I will accept a motion for adjournment. And just as a reminder to everybody, we also have a workshop on the redevelopment of Smith School following the adjournment. So please don't log off if we'd like to have you all here for that.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Was that Mr. Kiefer with the second? Just to make sure I heard correctly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, our meeting is now adjourned.